Hey guys, hey. It is your girl Raquel May David. Thank you guys so much for coming into the room on tonight. I like to, what is that? Did I not hit send on this? Oh Lord, let me check this out later. Hey guys, it's your girl Raquel May David, and I am always over here doing something I'm not supposed to do. Don't worry about that. Like, don't worry about that. I am your host today, and my lovely co-host is David Sanchez. We are here to give you all the tips to be a beast in these credit streets while using the world's most advanced and effective AI credit repair software. So we are so excited that you guys are here with us today. If you are new to the Panda team, please drop one Panda in the chat if you have not used the software and you have not sent a letter. If you have sent a letter and used the software, can you drop two pandas in the chat to let me know what y'all are dipping and doing? Let me share screens, desktop two. All right, somebody, let's go. Let me start invite. Let me let some people in here. Hang on. You're just gonna be rude. There we go. I see that we have some people in the chat. So, my friend Perry, I'm glad that you used it now. Hey, welcome, Mr. Smith. Welcome, Charmaine. Perry, of course. Chaz, Mr. Michael. 1.5. I'm done. Okay, Charmaine, I need to know what that 1.5 means. Like, you need to tell a girl. So, you have the software, but you haven't sent out the letters. Is that what that means?
Um, I was able to do, I think I did an initial letter, but I guess I did a first round, but I don't know anything past that because Dominique actually helped with the first thing. So after that initial help, I haven't been back on here. Well, I tried to get back on here, but I didn't know what I was doing.
I love the truth of it all. I love the truth of it all. Okay. So is it time for your round two? Are you past 35 days?
Oh, we way past that. A couple months in.
Oh, so you haven't done anything at all since Dom helped
Exactly.
you.
That's why I'm 1.5.
Gotcha. Okay. So just excuse me, with the fact that we're waiting for some people to come in, because we have people that come in a little bit behind. I like to fill up the time with us having some good conversations, just kind of acknowledging everyone in the room and open like a quick Q&A. Right now on my screen, what you guys will see is the community room. So if you guys are not a part of the Dispute Panda community, please go ahead and sign up. Number one. Number two, Miss Charmaine, with the fact that you haven't done it for months, I need you to check some pieces of information. So number one, if you are more than 60 days out, you're going to start back in round one. Okay. If you
Okay.
are not 60 days out, you can continue to round two of the cheat sheet. And I'm going to make sure you can see the cheat sheet. Doing the first round and doing the second round is exactly the same. The only difference is you're not inputting the client. Do you have Credit Dino or are you using another credit monitoring software?
No, I've been paying for the credit dyno.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I will show you on the screen where you would go for your credit dyno. You literally would just go to the documents tab and click import, and then you'll go back through the process that I'm going to be showing you today. So I'm so glad you came in. I'm sorry that that it took a little bit of time. It'd be great if while we're doing this, if you can log into your system and see how many days out you are, so I can give you the best tips for your particular file. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you just need to tell me where to go. It's already open. The dispute pan is open. Is that where I'm
Okay.
going to?
Yep. So if you go to Dispute Panda, hold on, I'm gonna log into my dummy profile here. So let's say this is you. you would, under the documents tab, you would scroll down, and if you have Credit Dyno, you would click the one-click import. So you can get your updated report if it's outside of that 35 days. How you want to find out how long it has been is normally if you go to the history. This particular person doesn't have any history, so you can't see it. I'm sorry, but there's a history tab that's normally right after the attack tab. It'll tell you the date of the last time you pulled. And on the client profile, it will tell you the date of your, I'm sorry, when you go to letters, it'll tell you the date of the last letter sent. So
The
you
last
can do either way.
number of documents. Last thing I saw, oh, July was the last time we did
Oh
something.
yeah, honey. So you starting back at ground zero. Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Love that. So yeah, you're starting back at ground zero. So I'm gonna take you through in your particular case, since you are where you are, you would just literally go to the documents tab. You'll click on the documents tab, you'll scroll down and click the one-click import because your username and password should already be in there, and it will automatically update your report.
I'm trying
And
to
then
watch you and do it on my screen. Where's this one click import?
scroll down, my love.
Scroll down.
Mm-hmm. So
One
when
click
you
import.
clicked on the document tab, correct?
Yeah.
Scroll down.
That's
Under credit monitoring credentials, it'll show you what credit monitoring it is. It should have your username, password, other. Right underneath other, it says Credit Dyno one-click import.
okay. I clicked that.
And then it should update your profile for you. And then the very next thing that should open up should say the disputing tab at the top. So it should say profile, document, disputing.
Mm. It's doing some thinking. I guess it's doing a
No
lot of.
problem. Take your time. Take your time. For everyone else that has come in, Mr. Smith, thank you so much for turning on your camera. I think this is Jamel. I think I'm saying that right. Chaz, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Kayla, shout out. Hi, Miss Hooks. My daughter's name is Kayla, so I love that. And I think it's Mr. Conway. Welcome to the room, guys. So we're giving people a few minutes to get in. I'm your host, Raquel May David, and my co-host is David Sanchez. Please excuse the swollen lip. I decided to be a good mommy and go play and go play with my son. And I don't know why I'm acting like I'm young. I'm not young, honey. I'm not quick with the hands. Okay, not unless I'm grabbing you. I'm not quick. And the ball and me became boyfriend and girlfriend yesterday. Okay, so my mouth got a little swollen, but we're getting the swelling down. And I decided I was not gonna let that stop me coming here and showing out for y'all. So super excited that you guys are here today. The question that is currently in the room is, can you drop one panda if you have the system, two pandas if you have the system and has already done the letters? And I have 2 minutes for any questions before we get started right at 8:10 is the goal. Any questions that anyone may have?
I have a question.
I might have an answer.
During Dominique's CRBB class that got canceled, I distinctly remember there was a section that he discussed about not having credit repair in your company name.
Mm-hmm.
Does that apply to your website as well? Because the bank can still look at your website and see you're doing credit repair, could they not?
That is correct. And that's why if you are doing a website, if you are providing that information to the bank, you don't want the website to have credit repair on it, because Navy Federal is good. Like Navy Federal discontinued my account because of the fact that my site does say credit repair on it. And they were like, they don't help with credit repair. So if you are going to be utilizing credit repair, whether in the name or on the website, just be mindful that there are other financial institutions that will help, even if you're in there. You'd have to use like the BOA, the Chases, Novo Bank, Truist Bank, things like that. They will still help with credit repair companies.
Okay, so it would be wise to build your website smartly and try to get around credit repair being in there as a descriptor.
I think it depends on what you're doing. So you can have one website, like I have a coaching website. That is what I normally give out when I'm opening bank accounts for my
Gotcha.
business,
Okay.
is my coaching website. However, because my coaching company is the umbrella of it all for me. So I think it depends on your structure and what you're trying to do. But the easiest workaround, so for instance, if your company name is like mine, Evolving Eve, but it's Wealth Insight Credit Company, right, is my actual credit repair company, I still have a website that is specifically for my credit repair company. And I have no problems with getting a bank account because, like I said, I have a BOA account. I have several accounts with different banks. I just know that there are some banks that will not support.
Is it frowned upon if you open a business account and you don't have a website?
No, I think that when you're looking for funding, the question is, what are you building? So if your intent is for your credit repair company to then be able to build credit, there's certain things that you have to check across the board in order for you to be compliant, right? But if you're not looking into funding at this stage and you're just looking to have an account for your business transaction, the website is not a requirement
Got
for
it.
the banking account.
Great. Thank you.
My pleasure. Great question. Great question. Any other questions, guys, before we dive one in? So, and I'm over here drinking out of an ice cold frozen bottle and bust my lip again. So, we're just gonna make this happen today, y'all. Never mind all that. So we're going to make it happen today. So thank you guys so much for coming. For all of those that participated, shout out to my homie Perry and Miss Charmaine that responded in the chat with where they are with the Dispute Panda realm. And we are going to be Mr. Conway, questions?
Hey, yes, I have a question. So when somebody told me that we should contact like the smaller credit bureaus like the LexisNexis and whatnot, do you suggest that we do that to freeze the accounts before we start the disputes or after?
I no longer freeze the profiles. That was something that I did do in the past, but personally, I no longer do that. So a lot of the credit secondary bureaus actually let you know that freezing it will not stop them from communicating with the big bureau. So it's an extra step that's not necessary in the whole scheme of things. So for me, I no longer add that step unless I have a client that is not listening to the plan. Then I'll let them know, hey, just to make sure that we can safeguard you, or if my client has fraud, like legitimate fraud on their profile, then I will go ahead and freeze it. But freezing is not necessary.
Okay, so I have a client who does have a legitimate claim of fraud or whatnot about 3 years ago. So should I still, are you recommending that I do freeze theirs first?
I wouldn't, because it's 3 years ago. If this is a client that has happened recently, then I would say to run that play, because of the fact that that person could still have their contact information and be actively using it. But again, my method and the method that I'm going to be showing you today is processing without freezing, and I haven't been freezing for about a year now.
Okay. And then just while I got your ear, so is it true that if it doesn't line up, say if we're looking at all 3 credit reports and they don't line up, like there's not a consistent report on all 3 at the same time, are those items removable?
No.
Okay.
That's the blanket answer is no. The indirect answer is it's possible that the items can be removed. So I want to clarify that when we are looking or getting information, understand that there are multiple tactics or multiple methods that you can leverage to dispute. But to answer that question, you would have to know, are we saying that the open dates are incorrect, the balances are incorrect? Like, what specifically is incorrect with the profile to say that this now, when I write this dispute letter, the credit bureau is going to delete it? So it's not a blanket yes, and it's not necessarily a blanket no. We would have to see what's on the file and be able to to answer it a little bit more detailed, specific for that client. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to tell you yes, and then it doesn't happen, because the reality of the situation, if I've had clients where on one credit bureau, on two credit bureaus, it says that their open date is the 1st, but on the 3rd, it says their open date is the 15th, right? That is not grounds to get that account deleted in and of itself. So you have to have more supporting information. And that's what the Dispute Panda software does, is it does take the Metro 2 information and the laws and configure it based on the data information that comes in to figure out what's going to be the most aggressive to either get the account updated, deleted. And again, the point is, if it's deleted, it's because there were some errors or inaccuracies that required that to be removed off of your credit report. Does that make sense?
Okay, okay. All right. And then to dispute, I mean, how do we know? Well, I guess I'll let you do your teaching because I got questions. So
No problem. I love that. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna touch on a few things, guys, and then I'm gonna open the floor up again for questions. Welcome, Melissa. I saw Melissa just pulled up. Princess Blackberry, welcome, welcome. So again, for the people that just came in the room, my name is Raquel May David. I am your host today. My co-host is David Sanchez. He will be helping me in the chat, making sure you guys have content drops, any kind of documents as I go through that might be needed. We're going to make sure that you guys have it tag teamed. We did start out, if you guys are new to the room, we did start out completely at the community site. So you guys, if you are not a part of the Dispute Panda community, we are not on any other platform but the one that has currently been placed in the chat. If you have questions, concerns, comments, we have our Dispute Panda support team that is on 24 hours and 7 days a week. We have our mod who's normally here, JM, who's always in the room, and then Dom kind of dabbles and helps everyone. So I just want to tell you guys, if you have questions, concerns, comments, our customer service team is 24 hours a day. You can shoot them a message, but if you kind of have questions like, I want to know where a contract is, or I want to know how to dispute this, come into the community, write it in. I'm quite sure someone has asked the question, and therefore you can get your question answered. And if it's not answered to where it's processable, no fret, go ahead and drop something in there and they will process it for you. So with that being said, we're going to get started today, and what I'm going to cover are specific segments. So we're going to go over the pricing, the training and contact. That's what we're going to cover on this main page. After we're done with that, I'm going to open the floor for any questions that I went over, and then I'm going to sign up and create a brand new profile. While I'm saying that, let me log out of this one so we don't have any problems. Okay, we're going to sign up, and I'm going to walk you through from start to finish of the sign up and enrolling, basically signing up a client. Once I get into the system, we're going to cover the pro and the integration options so that it's a lot more. I like to show you guys the items while we're going through, because I feel like it makes a nice cohesion of what's going on. So once we get that done, we're going to load the client in, and the goal is to complete your first round of disputes while you are on the phone with me. Okay. So if you guys are by your computer, if you guys or just to clarify, this is not a mobile version app, so I do apologize. We can only get things done if you are on your actual laptop. I think it still works for iPads, right, David? I think it's just not mobiles. iPads are good? Okay. So we're good there. If you guys are coming in a little bit late, please do not fret. You can catch up on the questions I've already answered by going to the Dispute Panda community, or your girls on the YouTubes, on the tubes of the Ube, as my son would say. So you can always catch the replay there. It is just, we just want to make sure that we can help and support. Okay, so we have Facebook notated in the group. We have Facebook at disputepanda.com. We have an Instagram, and we have a TikTok. Okay, so if you guys want to see what's going on, definitely check those out. So I see that there are, cool. So what we're going to get started with today is the pricing. I like to talk, and while we're going through this, y'all, I'll talk about something called drip money. My drip money is what I call passive income. You don't have to stress about it. It's just kind of coming in softly. We're going to talk about those opportunities that you have with Dispute Panda. And I will stop and kind of like explain my little lingo while we're here. But Dispute Panda is actually the very first pay-as-you-go credit-based system. It's free to sign up. If you have the standard Dispute Panda, you do not pay anything monthly. And it's a complete client relationship manager where you can have all of your clients' information, all of your family's information, heck, all of your information in one software at one time for you to process, okay? The only thing that you pay for is your rounds of attacks, which is $17 a month on the free plan. So the free plan again is $0 a month. You are only paying $17 per round if you are not using Credit Dyno. So on today, guys, I'm going to be showing you how to process a file using the Credit Dyno that gives you the free round of attack. There's only slight variations when you're not using the Credit Dyno. And I will show you what that looks like once we're in the system. But just for references, if you guys are choosing to not use Credit Dyno as a credit monitoring software, you do have to pay the $17 per month for the attack. It's not per letter. So I want to make sure that I'm clear. It's per month for the total round. So the rounds go out to all 3 credit bureaus, and I will show you guys how you can process to the secondary bureaus as well. Okay. The other option for Dispute Panda is our pro group. Our pro group meets on Thursdays. The pro group allows you to have, you do pay $197 a month. You do have a 14-day trial for right now. That's only $1. And with the pro, you get a client relationship upgrade. So you now have the safe client portal. You have loads of integrations. You can connect Zapier, so there's email communications. You can even make onboarding forms, payment templates, all of those really funky things. And I'm going to show you guys that once we get into the platform, but I just wanted you guys to know the different options. Also, the pro yearly, you can pay the $1,970 and it covers you for the whole year and you get 2 months for free. So I wanted to kind of go over the cost as to what it is. So on tonight, our free plan, we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays. If you have a file that you're stuck on or you're trying to figure out the system, you're more than welcome to come in. We can cover any basic questions about the system and standard attacks, but I take you through the software Monday through Wednesday. The pro team, we meet, Monday and Wednesday. I don't want to say through Monday and Wednesday. And then our pro team, we meet on Thursdays to go over any additional questions that you may have on the pro plan. So just to give you guys a tip, because I know some people have kind of left and then came back. So I wanted you guys to have all of the good, juicy details. Now, the next tab that I'm going to take you guys to is our training tab. I'm going to tell you before you scroll down, sideways, anyway, the first thing that you'll want to do is click on this free download. The reason that I'm going to tell you to click on this free download is because it's giving you a guide on how to dispute your credit profile. So you don't have to wonder if you are brand new in these credit streets and you're like, hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to do first. I don't know what letter I'm supposed to select. I don't know if it's supposed to go out certified mail or first class mail. You do not have to worry about it. In the training tab at the very top, it says free download. You click it and you get a full 12 months of attack. I've had this question asked me before. Does it take 12 months? It all depends on a full profile. So during the onboarding call, I am going to go over some tips that I give during my consultation while we're reviewing the Credit Dyno profile, but everyone's profile is different and the maintenance that is required is going to be different. So understand that when you're doing credit repair, it's a two-sided dance. One side are the letters, the other side are the client's behaviors. Or if you're doing this for yourself and your family, y'all behaviors. So I want to make sure that we're doing a perfect little dance together, although one side may be salsa and the other side may be the waltz, right? We still want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So when you guys get in and we're talking about training, you click on the free download first, print this out, have it on the side of your queue, download it, do whatever you need to do so that when you're coming in month after month, you know exactly what letter you want to, what letter you should be selecting. And this has been beta tested, proven to show results for our clients. And it gives you the secondary, when you should be doing the secondary letters, when you should not be, and when should you be doing a CFPB complaint, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, as you scroll down to the training, you also have additional videos. So we have everything from how do you add a client in, what do all the tabs mean? So if for some reason, because David and I are only here Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, okay? So if for some reason you got a question on a Friday, we not here. Come on over here and click the button. I promise you're going to have the answer that you need to be a beast in these credit streets with this particular platform, okay? The next tab that I want to take you through is the contact tab. The contact tab allows you to go ahead and speak to our customer service support. They're here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And their primary focus is to help with whatever needs you have. Hey, Miss Clay. Hey, Miss Clay. Welcome to the room, my love. I see we have Mr. S in here. Miss Rochelle, welcome, welcome. So just going over the highlights of the platform on the main level. So one of the things that I give out on every single class is a video tool called loom.com, LOOM.com. Loom.com is a wonderful platform that allows you to record your screen up to 5 minutes. So if you are having an issue, a glitch, just not understanding what's going on, please feel free to go ahead and record it. It will give you a little shareable link and you can plug the link in right here into the explanation tab. And that way they can know exactly what you're seeing on your end, and the support team will be able to see what needs to be fixed or configured on their end. So if you have a client support question, you just put the client's information here. You can select what the issues are. I highly recommend doing loom.com, and I'll put it in the chat. If you guys are wanting to do a video. And then if you have general questions such as press, you want to be a part of the beta testing team, you want partnership, you want any general questions, go ahead and put the message in here. Our customer service team will then delegate it to the person who's responsible that would be able to have a better conversation with you guys, okay? So I wanted to go ahead and cover that. Now, on what I've shown so far, are there any questions there on what I've displayed already? And has everyone already downloaded their guide? You can drop a panda in the chat if you did download your guide, or any emoji. Did you guys know there was a guide? No? Okay. No questions. Thank you, Miss Blackberry. Okay, Miss Charmaine says she has the guide. Okay, now Miss Charmaine, because you did this back in July, I would suggest you get the new guide, because I believe the guide that we had in July did not have the breakdown of the static letters. So you might want to go ahead and get the new guide just to be safe. Because I want to say I think we switched over a little bit after. I could be wrong, but I like to keep it. Okay, Miss Cross said that she already downloaded the new guide. Love it. So I just want you guys to have the most current and up-to-date information as much as possible, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to the sign up. So this is where you go to sign up all your information. If you are doing this as a business, you can put your company name in here. What I would say is, if you're doing this as personal and you don't have a business name as of yet, do not fret, guys. You can leave it empty. It will autofill with your first and last name, and then you can always come back and update the information later. I'm going to go ahead and sign up. Now, one of the things that I want to advise is you have to have separate email addresses. If you are using this software for yourself. And I recommend that if you are going to get the software and you're going to help other people, that you also utilize the software yourself so you can see what's the turnaround time for the letters, how are you processing. You can have a really robust conversation with your client because you're already seeing how things kind of work out for you utilizing the software. So I always say that you should load yourself in first, whether you're using the free version or the pro version, especially if you have the pro version, so you can see what the clients are seeing on the Safe Client portal. But this way you can kind of see how things are working. What do the letters look like? And you can manage the level of expectation and conversation that is going to come back from your actual clients, okay? All right, so I'm going to set this up. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all personally, I like free stuff, okay? So I will sign up for special offers, discount coupon, resource updates. You giving it, I'm taking it, okay? Like I want to take it. So I personally sign up for that. You do not have to, but the Dispute Panda terms and condition and privacy, I definitely recommend everyone read that. I am not going to read it right now, but I do want to tell you guys that you want to make sure that you're reading everything, including this Dispute Panda service agreement. This service agreement is telling you how you should expect Dispute Panda to do services with you and what they expect from you. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to accept it. Once we get to the main page, we are looking at the dashboard. So this right here, this black bar is for you to verify your email. I am not going to verify my email on today. Right now, I'm just going to go through, but I kind of wanted you to be able to know what this site looks like. Melissa's question in the chat is, if I were to upgrade to pro version, am I able to go back and change my email address from my personal email to my business one? No matter what feature you have, well, Miss Melissa, are you talking about your login email or are you talking about your email as a client? I want to make sure I'm answering the right question.
Well, I guess my question is, because I signed up with my personal email, would I have to use my personal email going forward? Or is that just, do I
So-
have the option to input my business one once I upgrade to pro?
So you can change your email address now. If you click on the balance tab and you go to organization, you're able to go ahead and edit the information that's in here.
Okay.
And you can edit it under the profile level. So what I would suggest is if you're changing your email address for the login type, you would click on profile. I'm sorry, you click on balance first, then profile, and then you would edit your email here. So you don't have to upgrade to pro to change your email address.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Great question. Great question. And I'll dive into this a little bit more, but that was an awesome question. All right. So back to the dashboard. So on the dashboard, guys, you will see rounds, any missing documents if you already have clients in here, any birthdays. It'll also give you an option to upgrade to pro. And we're going to talk about another drip money that can come in. So if you click on become an affiliate for Credit Dino, you can actually sign up and get your own affiliate link. One of the things I do at the beginning of the month and the end of the month is I go ahead and plug in like, hey, you should pull this link and check your credit report. Like you're getting close to the end of the month. I know you were talking about buying a house. I know you were talking about getting that car. I know you wanted that new job. Do you know your numbers? And then I drop my actual link, or I refer them back to click the link in my bio, or I drop it in the comments because you know these algorithms be algorithms. With that being said, I can get $8 based on my particular Credit Dino package. I can get $8 for every person that signs up under my Credit Dino link. So for me, it is very beneficial for you to have this commission because number one, if they become a client, not only are you disputing their file for free every single month, but if they don't become a client, you're getting that $8 every single month to just coast, whether they sign up for you or not. Like, that's just the truth of it. So I definitely love to tell you guys about this option, and I will show you another option later on today. But this is the main dashboard. Now, once you want to look into clients, you can click on the top, and you would have to type in 3 characters to find your client's information. Or you can click on the left-hand side over here and click on the client tab. It will show you your active, your inactive clients, as well as import any clients if you're leaving a software to come over to this software. It does have to be in a CSV file. If you are having an issue, do not fret. Send the CSV file to our support team. They will import the clients for you as well. And if you want to add a new client, this is where you would go to add a new client, and we will do that in a moment, okay? The letters tab is where you can see all the letters that you have sent out for your client. You can actually click on Panda guidelines, and I like to cover this on every call. Panda does allow you to mail your letters out. With that being said, you do have a cutoff time as to when the letters can physically go out. The letters go out same day at 12 p.m. PST time, Monday through Friday. Anytime outside of those hours, it goes out the next business day. All right. If you guys are wanting guaranteed tracking on your letters, you would have to do certified. Otherwise, it's just first class mail, and first class mail is the same as you taking the box of letters I have to the post office and dropping them off. So there's no difference. Those are not trackable. But you are able, if you have the certified mail on, you are able to go ahead and track you can track it here. You don't have to log into the USPS separately. Everything is linked into one convenient trackable source for you, okay? The inbox is a pro feature that is a part of the Safe Client Portal access. So your clients can communicate with you privately and securely, and you communicate with them. The reports tab is where you can go and you can actually talk about how amazing your company is. And let me show you what that looks like, darling. Hold on. So this is what the report tab looks like on the company level. What I would like to explain is that it tells you a running piece of information as to what score increases you have, what's your total deletions, and you can change it from last month to the last 7 days. You can also do this on the client level when you have the pro version, so you can see what your client has been able to get deleted, removed. A lot of people focus on the numbers. I focus on the debt amount deleted, because that means, especially if you're trying to buy a house, your debt to income ratio is stabling out more. So it's going to help you get more home, right? The goal is, when we're talking about home ownership, is that they're wanting to use about 30% of what your income is. So if you have a lot of debt and your income ain't a lot, okay, you gotta create balance. So these are different things that you can leverage. So you can actually make a copy of the social media template, and you can share this on your social media. And if you have already uploaded your logo, your website, all that stuff, it will be accessible on this page when you go to share it as well. So that's one of the features. So again, you can do it on the company level and you can do it on the client level. All right. And the subscription tab is also a pro feature. That's where you can put your payment plan. You can connect your merchant service account. You can have onboarding forms. All of that can be created through here. And then, of course, it takes you back to the training tab and the contact tab as well, if you need, while you're in the actual software. Now, when you click on the balance tab, I know we were just there for Miss Melissa's question, but I want to take us back there really quickly. So that's where all your setting information is found. I know it takes us automatically to billing, but I want to start at the top with profile. So profile is your information as the account holder. So to Miss Melissa's point, if she needs to change her address or update anything, this is where she would go to make any changes. You also have the ability to go ahead and add a photo if you choose. That this is applicable once you go from the free version to the live, that this profile photo will actually show to someone other than yourself. The organization tab is where you can put all the company information in. So if you decide to go ahead and do this as a full business, you will have the logos, you can put your website information, telephone number, privacy information, business address, and also your contract. Real quick, does anyone in the chat need a copy of a sample contract? If you do, raise your hand, drop an emoji, come off of mute, so we can know to drop a sample contract in there. There's also one in the community. Okay, so Chaz raised his hand, he needs it, so I'm gonna drop the contract in here for you. All right, did you have any other questions, Chaz, or you just needed the contract?
Just a contract. Thank you.
Okay, cool beans. It's in the chat. If you guys are by your phones, you can download it. If you guys are on your computer, you can download it. If you guys are on your phone, do not fret. Go to the Dispute Panda community, type in contract in the search bar right up here. If you type in contract, it will actually take you to where the contracts have been posted. And we've posted it a couple of times on the platform, so you guys will be able to leverage it, okay? And then one thing my pleasure, Kayla. One thing I want to say is that you do have to find out what is specific for your state, but this gives you a starting point. All right. Every state is different with what needs to be in there. So I like to keep you guys in the know. If you are having team members, you're having other people support, they're logging in, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and click on team members, and instead of giving them your username and password, you can actually give them their own username and password, so that they can log in, and that way they don't have access to all of the same things that you necessarily do. And you don't have to share your passwords, because a lot of people use the same password for all of their business needs, and you want to kind of safeguard it as much as possible. Okay, guys. When it comes to the affiliate link, our Dispute Panda software leverages a lot of credit monitoring software. So there's Credit Dyno, Smart Credit, Identity IQ, My Score IQ. All of those softwares will work. If you keep them on and you have the pro, your client will be able to select, and you can have your affiliate links plugged in, so that once they go into the Save Client Access portal, they will see and they can pick from whichever option. If y'all are like me and I don't want to have to pay to play in these streets, again, Credit Dyno gives me the $17 for free, so I don't have to pay for my round of attack, which ends up putting more money in my pocket, which allows my overhead to be lower. You see where I'm going with that. I will go ahead and just put my affiliate link here and then just hit save, but it's completely up to you guys. The disputing tab, disputing options, is where you can change the addresses to the credit bureau. This allows it where if for some reason you're getting kickback or the address may have changed, but we haven't been able to update it in the system as of yet, you are able to go ahead in real time and make the adjustments here. You simply just click this edit button and you change it from 9701 to 9706. You hit save, and now when the letters are printed, it will automatically be printed with the updated address to the credit bureaus. Let me put this back because that ain't the right address, y'all. All right, there we go. The billing tab, you can, of course, upgrade your software from the free to the pro. You can also add your preferred payment method here, and we do also take ACH payments. And you can order in bulk. So if you know you have 50 clients, 100 clients, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and order 1,000 credits, and the system will go ahead and put that in your actual balance bucket. If you are using where it's maybe just for you and your family member, you can do the subscribe and save option. This was created because we saw that there were clients that were only signing up for like $20 or $30 at a time. So now if you have it on reoccurring payment, we will just pull it from your card, and the company will give you an extra 50% on what you're already signing up for. So instead of $20, you get 30, instead of 60, you get 90, right? And now I want to point out that the only person's card information that should be on here is yours, because you are the owner of the account. So if you are doing this for cousins, sisters, aunt, and it gets to be a little bit much, the recommendation would be you can keep the subscribe and save so you can get the double the points, but collect the money from them, and then just do the regular entry of the capital. So that way you're not having anyone else's debit cards linked to your profile. Okay. Invoices. The invoice tab is where you can see any outstanding invoices for clients, statements, Panda Pro. The activity tab is where you can see the attack. So traditionally it's known as rounds. On this software, instead of it being rounds, it's attacks, that verbiage that we leverage. So you can see what attack you did for your client. You can check the mailing, and you can also see any credit. So again, Credit Dino gives you a free round of attack for every client. So you'll be able to see who has credits from the last update. Okay. The integration tab is where you can allow this software to speak to other softwares by leveraging a software by the name of Zapier. Zapier does also have a free platform. They have a paid one also, but you can link it together. So like if a client comes and signs up here, you also are able to send them out automatic emails if you have the email sequence already created. So it's just a nice seamless, you load in one place and the systems all speak to each other. That's one of the perks of the Pro. Now, the referral tab is another passive drip money that you can get. It is not live right now, but I tell every single one of my classes that I do that this is something you want to sign up for, because once it goes live, if you refer this platform to your friends, your cousin, a realtor, a auto dealer, right? You're able to get credits for them signing up under your referral link. So you can click accept. Once it goes live, you will get an email, as well as you'll be able to see the tracking information once it's live. It's not live now, but it will be soon. So definitely want to give you guys all of that. With what I've covered so far, do you guys have any questions or concerns before we load our dummy client in? Any questions?
This is Charmaine. So with the referrals, it's not me necessarily having to make them my client.
No. This referral link right here is if, let's say you have a realtor friend and you're like, you know what, you have clients and you can't service all of them because they need to fix their credit. Well, if you want to learn how to do credit, sign up to Dispute Panda. Here's the link. The link is not live now, but once it does become live, you'll have the ability to do that. Great question. Any other questions, guys? All right. So let me go ahead and I'm going to load myself in as a client. So when you are, why they'll always send back a letter that sounds like a credit pair person? I'm not quite clear what you're saying, iPhone. Are you talking about why the bureaus are always sending back a letter? So that is called a stall tactic. And I'll show you exactly where you go to respond to that stall tactic and if you should respond, because it all depends on timing. But the credit bureau does that because personally, I feel that you have to make an announcement before you start the dispute. So for me, the first letter that goes out to my client, to the credit bureaus and the secondary bureaus, are my client's information stating this is my ID, this is the law that says you cannot delay my profile, and it has all this verbiage in it, right? So that's the first letter I send, and then I start my round of disputes with the flow that is here. Now, if you don't have that letter curated like I do, what you would do is when you send out your first letter of disputes, you would do a stall letter that is located under the static letters, and you would resend your original dispute only if it's like the first 10 to 15 days. Anything outside of that, I will say just let it go, because of the fact that you're not quite sure. When you're sending out your original round of letters, you're normally getting 3 for one credit bureau, or at least 2. I've never seen anyone only get one. So you're not really knowing what are they denying your stallation, what are they stalling you for? So, but that is a tactic that the credit bureau will use because they don't believe that you are doing this on your own. And let me be clear, there's nothing illegal about using a credit repair company. Again, outside of the state of Georgia, which requires you to be signed up with an attorney in order to do credit repair, it really is no reason. What do I send if they keep saying update, updated, and verify? So that's a little bit more of an in-depth question. That would require more questions. So is the account really yours? Are the amounts valid? Right? All of those have to go through. And then also, what round are you on? Because if you're getting updated and valid and you're in round 3, my suggestion would be that you might want to switch to the pro option, because the pro gives you the ability to get letters from the creditors as well. And also it depends on statute of limitation. So that question's a little bit loaded. And I'll definitely drop my link. So if you have questions, you can book a call with me and we can go over them a little bit more in depth about a specific file. Is there a way to have a client upload their own documents without having pro? No, there's not a way for them to upload their own documents unless you have pro. Pro gives you the secure client access that allows you to go ahead and send a link to the client, and then they can upload their own documents. Great question. So once we get here, we're loading the client in. I'm very technical that if the client is using the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, right? I'm going to plug that information in here if they're actively using it. But you're wanting to make sure that the things that are required are the first name and the last name. Again, as I stated, the email address cannot be the same. Or the system will not allow you to do it. However, if you are doing your own profile, the phone number can be the same. You're going to put all the information in on the line that is required. Hang on a second. And then once you have completed everything, you are going to go ahead and you're going to go ahead and save it. Hang on a second too. Boom. Now, if you have the pro feature, you would go ahead and click save client access. It will automatically send the invite to the client, and then that's where they would go in to upload their information. They'll be able to log in. They can put in their username and password for the credit monitoring, all that good stuff. If you do not have the pro, you're simply clicking save and you're having to enter everything yourself. What do we need to send to ask for validation of investigation proof? You can send a debt validation letter. That's also located in static form. Great question, iPhone. So once you reach here, there's some spaces that you have to follow. So I want to go ahead and share this piece of information. Hang on. Go. Here we go. So there are only 2 required segments. It's the proof of identification and the proof of address. The Social Security card is optional unless you're using the Social Security card as their proof of identification. When would you use the Social Security card as a proof of identification? If your client has recently moved from Jersey to Texas, from Texas to Maine, from Maine to Chicago, their ID and their documentation that you're submitting all needs to be in alignment, okay? So in that particular case, what you would do is say, okay, I'm not going to take the driver's license as a proof of identification. I'm going to use your social or your paycheck stub or your W-2 or your 1099. I'm going to use one of those things in order to go ahead and leverage that you are who you say you are. The point is that you want everything to match across the board. Thanks, David. David dropped this same template in the chat. If you guys are by your phone and not by your computer, please do not fret. go ahead and in the training video, this is also accessible. I pulled it from how to add client to Dispute Panda, repair software, and get a free round of attack. So it's in a lot of our training videos that you can actually go to if you're not able to download it today. But the goal is consistency. You want one name, one address across the board for your client. And the only way to leverage that is to make sure that you're being very strategic by the documents that you are sending in specifically. Okay. So with that being said, Dispute Panda has an amazing tool that allows you to crop things. And the goal is this, again, low overhead. We want to make sure that you're making profitability and that you're doing business well, right? So all of this information is none of their business. I'm going to say this again. All this information is none of the credit bureau's business. So what you're going to do is crop out until you get to exactly where you need. Where you need is for them to have the date that validates. And just for a pro tip, if you guys are using bills like utilities, light bill, anything like that, you want to get an updated bill every about 90 days. Okay. 60 to 90 days is good. If you are using another method such as a lease or any other, let me pull the list back up. Any other item on this list, so the mortgage statement, a bank statement, you don't necessarily have to get it updated. My concern is when you're using any residential bill, you want to go ahead, utility bill, you want to go ahead and update it every 60 to 90 days. Okay, guys? And you would come in, you would upload the bill, crop it to size, because the goal is to get all of your identification documentations on 1 to 2 sheets of paper. Okay? So when it comes to the ID, if your client or if you took a picture of it and it's all on a white sheet of paper, honey, crop and save, crop and go. You don't have to stress, so that way we're trying to get everything segmented off. If for some reason it's time for you to update the billing information, simply delete it and then go ahead and drop it back in here. And boom, I'm going to crop and save. And then in this particular case, we do have a dummy social security card. So I'm going to hit crop and save here, and all of it is uploaded. So I want to clarify, the attack tab over here is grayed out. It's grayed out because we don't have all the things needed before we can go to attack. Before we can go to attack, we still have to do the dispute. So you would scroll down and you would have to select which profile you're leveraging for that particular client. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing really quickly while I put the information in. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can come off of mute. While I'm going ahead and uploading the information. I appreciate you guys tonight.
Hi, Raquel. This is Chad again.
Yes, how can I help? Hey, Chaz, how can I help?
Yes, you mentioned earlier that you wanted everything to be the same, and I'm assuming you're referring to names. So, for instance, my name is Charles N. Wade. So, should all my documents or my client's documents be first name, middle name spelled out, or initial, or does it matter?
That's a great question. So when I was saying that I want it all to be the same, I'm not just talking about names. I'm also speaking about addresses. So if your address on your ID says 1515 Mockingbird Lane, the documentation that you are going to turn in should also say 1515 Mockingbird Lane. If there's a specific spelling verbiage of the name, or for your point, so like I have 5 names because my mom is extra and so am I, okay? So a lot of my documentation, I normally use my first name, my maiden last name, and then my married last name. So any documentation that I would send in or any bill would say Raquel May David, And if I'm using a bank statement, it would need to say Raquel May David. If I'm using a light bill, it would say Raquel May David.
Got it.
But to go even further, it's not just the name, it's also the address. So all of the documentations need to be cohesive. Great question.
Awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Any other questions, guys? Let me see if I can get this person here. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find a dummy email, a dummy credit report. So give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that. Any other questions? You guys can come off of mute. Wow, because I'm not able to see the chat. I apologize.
I do have a question. You said that the replay will be available on YouTube?
Yep, if you go to Dispute Panda on YouTube, you can find it there or in the Panda community group.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. All righty. Desktop 2. Let's dip into, okay, cool. So once you load the credit dyno, it shows you that you have 1 free round of attack. It loads everything into the profile. You see it here on this wonderful pop-up screen, and also over here under balance, it's also available for you to see that you have 1 free round of attack for this particular client. Once that happens, the dispute tab will open up for you and you are able to go ahead and start looking at the credit report. Now, I like to give pro tips as we go through. So if you guys have your pen and paper, let's get into it. Okay. So number 1, when you're starting out here, the first thing it's going to show you is the inquiries. The inquiries are any hard pulls that have happened on your credit profile. Okay. Public records is the next option. Public records gives you judgments, child support, liens, bankruptcies, all that stuff will show on under the public records. And then it will auto select anything that is negative in the public records and the account arena. As you can see, it does not select anything for the inquiries. The reason being is we do not want to select or flag an account that is attached, an inquiry that is attached to an open and active profile. So for instance, if this capital 1 here, ooh, mind your business. If this capital 1 here is showing in the account section as an open and active profile, what we shan't do is go ahead and select it. Now, if you come down here and the capital 1 is showing closed, charged off, delinquent, any other status than open, by all means, go to the top, click the option, and that way this is now selected. It's just an extra layer of security that our system has. That this is the only part that I recommend that you do on your own every single time, okay? If you see something like this, and I like to point it out, this is Cross River Bank, but if you just put CRB, it's not going to pull anything up, right? CRB is not going to pull anything up. So you want to, if there's a slash, you want to search what's at the front of the slash as well as the back of the slash to be able to better pivot and research what's going on in your client's file. So in this particular case, they have a seed account. It is transferred, which means it is not open. It has been sold to someone else. So in that particular case, I will go ahead and select it. And you can do that for all the inquiries that are showing on the file. Okay. You can fix check system, but it's not in this database for you to fix check system. Great question. So that was one thing that I wanted to show you guys. Also, if you are having a conversation with your client, something that I personally love to do is having like a full robust conversation during the consultation. So number 1, we're talking about, is the account open or closed? We're also talking about payment health and account health. The reason that we're having this conversation is because your credit score goes from 300 to 850. It's now going up to 900, but let's stay at the 850 realm, right? So if your baseline number is 300, I need you to understand the points that you need to go from a 300 to an 850. And in order to do that, we have to have conversations about the two heaviest weighted portion of the credit score. So the credit score is broken down into 5 components. The two heaviest weighted are your payment history, which is worth 192.5 points, and your utilization, which is worth 165 points. So if you're looking at your client's account and you're seeing 69, you open another credit card and you see 69. You open another account and you see 69, 74. This is all a conversation like, hey, my love, we need to talk about why is your payment history fluctuating? Why aren't you paying on time? Now we're going to have a deeper conversation of what on time really is and how you can leverage both your on-time payment history along with your utilization as a team effort. So if you're looking at your client's profile and they have a zero credit, well, we know that they don't have zero. Let me use somebody else. Hold on. So their credit limit was $4,000. They are using $4,823. So just on this one account, they're over their limit by 100%. Oh, more than 100%, right? So I'm going to be explaining to them that the due date is the latest possible time you can make your payment without a late payment fee being assessed. That is what the due date signifies. However, your statement date or your statement close date signifies when your information is being taken from the creditor and sent to the credit bureau. So for you to tackle not just paying on time, which you should be setting up automatic payments for the minimum payments, but for you to also tackle your utilization, I want you to start paying 2 days before your statement due date. So if your statement closes on the 24th, or if it says statement begins on the 7th and ends on the 20th, right? You know now 2 days or 3 days before the 20th, you're going to go ahead and make a lump sum payment. You can then wait until your statement date closes and then turn around and use that same card to pay whatever it is that you needed to pay. This way, you're leveraging on the profile that you're not using more than what is required, because the reality is everyone says use 30% of your available credit. The true number is if you're trying to be in the 800 club, you want to use less than 7% of your overall available credit. And if you want to be in the 700 club, you want to use less than 15%. So the conversation is going to be a little bit different. The pro nor the free version sends out CFPB letters. You will have to do that on your own. But great question. Great question. So once you've gotten through this and you've had that coaching conversation with your client, you are now able to save the filter. Remember, the dispute tab is open, but it's not going to go anywhere until you tell the system what it needs to attack. So you have to hit save filter, and now the attack button is open. Okay. Once the attack button is open, you would go back to your attack guide. And on the attack guide, let me make it bigger. Yes. Hold on. Tell me if y'all can see that. So on the attack guide, it's giving you the sequence of letters, okay? That would be a separate class, Mr. S. The CFPB would be a separate documentation that you would have to send out, and there is training on that. Let me know if you need it. Just shoot me an email, and I'll go ahead and send out the training information. But that's a great question. But the first letter that you would send out is the Punch of Fury Supreme Boosted. If you have the Pro, you can select creditor letters, but the first round of letters are going out handwritten. You are also going to send out static letters to the secondary bureaus. Okay. So to the question that was asked earlier, if you are having a stall situation, I will drop my link in the chat for you guys to, you know what, let me grab it now. Got it. Looking. I'll grab my link for you guys. So if you guys want to connect with me outside of, that is my booking link. That you can book a call with me. But for the person that asked earlier, what do I do if I'm getting stall letters back? Again, if it's within the first 15 days, I would tell you to come in here, select the static letters, scroll down to stall, you check this box. If you have the pro, you can re-import the original dispute letters you had, and the stall letter and the dispute letters will go out together and you mail it from your location, right? If you do not have the pro, you would print out the stall letter and then reprint your original dispute letters and mail it out to the credit bureaus. If it's outside of that 15-day window, I would tell you just pull your updated report, come into the system, and just go on to the next round of attacks that you have, okay? But if this is a first time, so whether it's the first time, the second time, the third time, you're still kind of following the same flow. You're gonna come into the software. If it's your second time, you would basically do the one-click import if you are using Credit Dyno. If you are using any other software, and I'm just going to tell you why I like Credit Dyno. Credit Dyno gives you your full 7-year report for your client. So your client can say, well, I'm up to date now, but you can have a conversation as to when they went derogatory or when they went late. So that's number one. So outside of me getting a free report, they're getting their full 7 years, where all the other credit monitoring softwares only give you a 2-year report. Number three, I don't have to log into anything else. When I'm dealing with my Credit Dyno clients, I literally come in, I click on the document tab, I click one-click import, and every single month, as long as it's after that 35-day window, I'm able to go ahead and update the credit report without any stress, okay? So that is just one of the things, several of the things that I like about the software, because all of the other softwares, you have to log into them, update the report, either download the file or get the HTML file and then upload it into the system. It is just a whole lot of steps that I do not need, okay? Now, if you are doing your first round, you'll do the Punch of Fury. You're going to click the handwritten font. You're going to hit Supreme Boosted, and you're going to hit Start. It's going to ask you to confirm your letter. And once you type confirm, toolbox side, hold on. Y'all, why my thing is acting ugly right now? Okay. Hold on 1 second. It does not want me to confirm this, y'all. You see how it's doing me in front of all these people? I think it's my laptop. Hold on. So in theory, you would write confirm. Look, you would write confirm and it will start round for you on the client. I don't know why my mouse is not my keyboard is not keyboarding today. I do apologize, but I'm going to take you into what it would look like. So hang on 1 second. Let me stop sharing and then I'm going to show you what it would look like on the back end. Let me log out of this. And I'm gonna log into my dummy file. Give me 1 second. Share screen. So we can use this person. So let's go back here. We're doing the one-click import. So this is if the client, if I'm doing this as a second time, I would just click the one-click import. I can get the updated information. Remember, all of this stuff is auto-checked that the system has deemed to be bad. I'm gonna come in and check all of the inquiries that are not attached to an open and active profile. I'm going to hit save filter, and then this is what it would look like after I did the round. Let me see if it'll let me do the round now. Give me 1 second, does. Oh, so this one does have pro, so you guys can see what it looks like. If you have pro, you would check the handwritten and generate the pro letter. You would hit start round, and then you would type in confirmation. And then it will allow you to generate the letters. And then it will code the attack round that you're on, the creditor letters that have been selected. And then after you do that, you would go back in and hit static letters, handwritten again, scroll down just for best practice, and you select all the secondary bureaus. So let me say this. If the secondary bureaus come back, and when they come back, your client is told that there is not, or you're told there's not an open account with LCI, or there's not an open account with Credco, then you don't have to keep selecting them month after month. You just don't select that particular profile. As long as you have money in your account, the static letters will go ahead and generate for free. If you do not have money in the account, the static letters will not generate, okay? Mailing letters on your own or using Dispute Panda is simply about choice, yes? So I'm going to tell you that best practice is it is best to get your mail geotagged. So for instance, I'm in Texas. For all my Texas clients, I would prefer to mail it here because it's geotagged for this state. However, if I am traveling, I go to Jamaica to visit my family. If I'm going to Florida to visit my family, or I'm going off with my husband, I'm still taking my work with me, I will allow the system to mail the letters out for me because my goal is I want to make sure I'm not missing any deadlines for any of my clients. Okay, great question. But for me, geotags are everything. But if you are on the move, you're on the go, and for the process of being able to complete, you want to make sure that you're doing the best job for your client and sending them out. I have not had an issue with getting it kicked back, especially while I'm traveling, y'all. It's wonderful. So once you're done with that, you can either download the letters and print it out yourself, or you can select mail out. If you do not have enough money in your bucket, do not fret. You can exit, add the money in your bucket, come back to your client file and select mail out and mail out the documentation. Now, I like to tell you guys the truth. I send all my letters double-sided. However, the system does tell you for best practices, you want to send it out non-double-sided. You do not have to do any first-class mail. It is not in color at all. And then you can hit pay and mail, and the system will go ahead and mail it out for you. Nothing that you have to be concerned about. And you can do that for both the attack round as well as the creditor letters. You can either download them. Oh, why I clicked that button, y'all. Okay, cool. You can either download them or you can click the mail out option. You will see exactly what needs to be done, and then, or what it's going to cost. You can add the funds if you need to. And if you don't, you can go ahead and just hit pay and mail and you're good to go. As far as this goes, and you do the same thing for the static letters. You can click download, or you can mail those static letters out and call everything easy for you. So as long as everything is uploaded the way that you need to, you will have the ability to see everything. You can also see your client's history. The update tab, again, is a pro feature only. So if you do not have pro, you do not get to see the changes in the scores or anything like that. You will only be able to see this if you're manually looking and giving your clients that information. This is a wonderful feature that I like to use because I post it in my stories all the time. To post it in my stories this week. Invoices is where you can see what invoices are outstanding or have been paid. And the note tab is also a pro feature. I like the note tab because if I'm dealing with a client with bankruptcy and I'm sending a letter to the bankruptcy court and I'm sending the letter to the other entities that house bankruptcy, so I can see the full report for the other secondary bureaus that house that information, I can see if they have it on file. So I'm also disputing with them. I'll put all of that in my notes section. The same thing with an eviction, the same thing with the repo. I'm able to put those detailed notes in the system so that when I come back to look at the client again, I already know what I need to do next. Okay. What if LexisNexis sends back and asks for a PIN? So that's a great question. Before I answer that question, do we have any other questions on the system itself? Any questions about Dispute Panda system itself?
This is Charmaine. Quick question.
Yes, my love.
So I did the one-click dyno. So now I have to wait the 35 days to come back to do any possible attacks.
You're doing an attack right now. If you just did the one-click import, you haven't sent out a letter since July, you're sending out a letter right now. You're not able to do anything again for another 35 days.
Gotcha.
Great question. Any other questions about the system and the software, guys?
I just got a quick question.
Mhm.
How you doing? Good night. I actually sent out the Punch of Fury, the first letter for one of my clients,
Mhm.
and it's been probably like 45 days or so. No answer from none of the bureaus. Still trying to find if they did send any letters to him. Only there was some update on Experian, but nothing's changed on the bureaus. I've checked their Experian, so I'm trying to see what are my options now. And should I update already because it's been 45 to 50 days for Credit Dyno? Will it give me another chance to do that within a later time?
So Credit Dyno allows you to update the credit report every 35 days. As long as you're outside of that 35-day window, you would come back to this document tab and you would click the one-click import to update the profile. If you are outside of that 35 days, you want to go ahead and send your next round of letters out.
Okay.
Okay, great question. So you would start here, you do the one-click import, and then you go back to the dispute tab, select any inquiries if they apply, save filter, and then do your next round of letters.
So if I go for the next round of letters, which round should I do? And should I include all the accounts again and all the inquiries? And what exact attack should I use if they didn't respond and I'm not even, I'm not sure how to react to the second round?
Right. So you're following the guide that is provided under the training tab. So did you
Okay.
download the guide?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have that.
So you're
So just follow
following.
that.
Yep, you're following the guide that is downloaded on the tab. And if you have the free feature, you're still selecting on round 2, it's still Punch of Fury, it's the regular selection. And then once you submit that, you're going to go back in and do the static letters for the third-party companies as well.
Okay.
Okay, and the system will automatically select the accounts that need to be disputed. The only thing that you will have to select is the inquiries that are on file.
Okay, I see.
Okay.
Yeah, because it does have some accounts with like late payments, but they still open. So I don't think the first time I had to recheck them or not, but I have to just make sure. Yeah.
So if it's a late payment, the system will still check it. As you can see here, this says open and it's 30 days late. The system is going to generate late payment verbiage specifically for CarMax. It's not going to generate a dispute letter, right? Because we're not disputing it. We're just wanting to have them look into the late payments and help our client with the late payments. So the verbiage, as long as you're using Credit Dyno and you're using the Dispute Panda, it's going to communicate well with late payment verbiage with each other. So there's nothing
Like a goodwill.
I'm sorry?
Like a goodwill letter or something like that.
It's a little bit more in depth than a goodwill letter, but yes, I normally suggest to do a goodwill letter round 1 as well. And I suggest to email the CEO.
Right.
Okay, great question. Any other? Go ahead.
Any luck getting charge offs deleted from the profile?
I've gotten charge off, I've gotten collections, I've gotten repos, I've gotten bankruptcies. You just have to work the flow and be consistent. So again, I'm a 45-day company personally. Dispute Panda, however, gives you a flow for you to process every 35 days. So if you're working the flow every 35 days, you should see results. But if you have additional questions or support, you guys can always book a call with me.
Okay.
And the question in the chat, I believe that was you as well, that was asking about LexisNexis, send back and ask a PIN. Normally when you freeze, the reason why they're asking for a PIN is because a freeze happened. And when that freeze took place, they sent you an actual PIN for you to actually be able to use to remove the freeze off your profile. So if you don't have the PIN, the next thing that you need to do is call LexisNexis so you can verify and validate your identity over the phone. They will then generate a new PIN for you and then help you moving forward.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. Any other questions, guys, whether it's about the software or not? Hey, Miss Clay. I don't know if I said that. Hey, Carlos. Welcome, welcome. Do you guys have any questions about your profile? Anything that's going on with you? Anything that we can help you with on today?
This is Charmaine. So
ahead.
for the when I did on the inquiry page, so none of my boxes come up red at the bottom. So I guess we're just basically doing the attacks for just inquiries.
So you're saying you have no issues with any accounts at the bottom.
Right.
So
There's
up
no
here,
red
it
boxes.
says selected account 0.
Right.
Okay. And for public records, it says 0.
Let me go back to it. Document. Right. So everything's 0.
Right. So you would only be disputing your inquiries if they're not attached to an open and active credit card.
And where do you go? I saw you do something with search, so you could easily find.
I did. If you're on a Mac, you do Command F. If you are on anything else, you do Control F, and then you're able to search for it there.
Gotcha.
Great questions. And Miss Cross, and then we have Carlos. What was your question, Miss Cross?
Hi, I just wanted to say, I think I really, really like using the guide, the new guide, but over there on the right side, I just wanted to bring that out. It does tell you when to do your next attack. And I think I missed it the very first time I was using the guide, but I just wanted to share that with everyone that this is perfectly designed for all the attacks that we need to do. We just have to follow it step by step, line by line. It tells you when to send it off. It tells you when to do the next one. It's basically done for you system. And I really, really like that with my busy schedule.
I love that. Thanks, Miss Cross. Carlos, you said hello, didn't answer my question. What was your question, Carlos? I missed your question. Hold on, let me scroll up. You know I'm only one person. What's your question, Carlos? Let me see if I can find it in the chat. I got a stall letter 2 weeks ago, and I'm coming up on day 33 for my next round. If you have not responded to the stall letter, Carlos, all you're doing is going to do your pull at day 35 or after, because at this point, you're too late in the game to send out the stall letter. So yeah. So if it was earlier, I would have said to go ahead. Like if this was 2 weeks ago, I would have said to go ahead and click on, let me save this. So, and I think I've answered this while you were in class before. It's not I promise you the answer ain't gonna change. I'm not gonna make it up. I promise you, Carlos, it's the same answer. You're gonna go to the start new round. You're gonna hit static letters. You're going to scroll down to stall letter. You're going to click this option. You're going to put the date into the dispute, and then you're going to send out the original dispute letters that you had printed for that round that they sent that stall to. With it now being at day 33 and you have a 35 day, that means you're 2 days away from your next pull. I would just hang tight and do your next pull and then do your next round of letters. Hey, I sent out, but great question, my love. It says, hey, I sent out a debt validation for a client, never got a response back from them. So you sent the debt validation out to the actual creditor, Mr. Perry? Right?
Yes.
So whether they answer you or not, they're going to have to respond to the credit bureau. So as long as you give them that 30-day window, if they did not respond, you want to send out. So sorry. I'm so sorry, I saw that pop up. So yeah, you would want to go ahead and send out your next round of disputes. I have no problem doing a debt validation every other letter, but for transparency, a debt validation is included in the letter for the round that you're doing to the actual credit bureau. If you have the pro version, I think you have the pro, Perry, I'm not quite sure, but if you have the pro, it's doing the same exact thing. So you don't have to send out another debt validation letter if you already have the pro.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Smith is next, and then I'm going to answer your question, Carlos.
Hey,
What's
Raquel,
your question?
can you hear
Hey,
me okay?
I
How you
can hear
doing?
you.
All right. Yeah, Carl and I, we're always playing around with the software and watching training videos. One of the, I don't know if this is a pro specific feature, but the ability to be able to send letters out directly to the creditor.
That is a pro specific feature.
Okay. So my question is, what is the purpose in sending a letter to the creditor to have them correct information if we kind of trying to leverage the discrepancies between, correct and incorrect information to leverage that to get it removed? Or am I looking at that differently than what I should?
No, so that's a great question. So we're talking about methods and different maneuvers to get what you're wanting for your client. So let's be clear. A lot of the stall letters that are going out to the secondary from the credit bureaus to us is because they're not contacting the actual creditors at all. They're checking their internal system known as eOscar, or they're checking with the secondary bureaus.
Right.
With you then going ahead and sending the information to the actual creditors, it forces the creditors to respond to the credit bureaus. If they don't respond to you, they still have to respond to the credit bureaus, or they're subject to fines. And they're not willing to pay these fines just to not make sure that the information is updated. So if you have a situation where the balances are off, the dates are off, everything is not cohesive. Like I have a situation where one client, it shows closed, it shows open with one, but closed with the other two credit bureaus. That's not making any sense. So now I'm able to go ahead and tangibly get the correct information from the creditor. Or if the creditor comes back with, I don't know where this account is, I can't find this person in the profile, that's not leverage for you to send that information to the credit bureau and say, listen, you have this debt, but I have this letter from the creditor saying I'm not even in a system. So why is this on here? Right? So there are different methods to basically get to the same resolve. Now, I like to explain that credit repair, just because it's deleted from your profile doesn't mean you don't owe the debt. That's number one.
Yeah.
Right. So I can remove it. The debt may not show up. It helps your DTI, right, at the end of the day. But for transparency, you could still very well owe that debt. And if it's updated, it can then be put back on the file. Now, for me, when I leverage the creditors, I leveraged it because a lot of times I'm having conversations with my clients about settlements, because once we get to a certain phase, like normally around round 6, round 7, I'm talking about getting these collections or charge-offs paid, because it's a lot easier for me to get a paid debt removed from your credit profile than having that outstanding debt on your credit profile. So I hope that was a long-winded explanation.
No, it makes perfect sense. Thank you. Yeah.
Look.
No, I like the detail because I don't like pieces, chunks missing.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need the whole picture. So yeah, you articulated that very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you have another question? And where's your wife? Tell your wife I say, hey, boo, hey.
She is over here.
Hey,
she
boo.
she's about to duck her head in.
Hey.
She's been a fly on the wall. She's been sitting here with us the whole time.
No worries. Now, I saw in the chat that Carlos had a question as to what the next round is. Please, guys, I'm going to stress this so emphatically. When you guys are at your computer, download the guide. The guide is telling you what is round 1 letter, what is round 2 letter that you need to select to send off to your client. I don't care if you're pasting it on the wall or if you have it as a download drive and you have it open on one screen while you're working the client on the other screen, so that it makes it a lot more seamless for you to get through. So if you've already sent out round 1, which is a Supreme boosted, You're going to go into round 2, which is going to be the regular letter, and you guys can get that at the top of the training module. Let's see. Can I send the stall letter with the original dispute? Did you have a stall response, and what has been the time frame from when you got the stall letter from the credit bureau up to today? That is for iPhone.
What else can I dispute with the public
Hold on,
record?
hold on 1 second. Before you go on to that question, I need you to answer the first question that we have. Your question in the chat was, can I send a stall letter with the original dispute? My question is, have you gotten a stall already?
No, ma'am.
So if you haven't gotten a stall, you can take the stall letter and reverbish it, like rearrange it so that you can have better movement. But organically, the answer would be no. But if you choose to do so, I don't see that it will create a big issue. So just to answer that question, what was your other question that you had?
What all can I dispute with the public records?
Once you get the report, you can dispute anything on the public records that is inaccurate or out of date.
Okay. And one other thing, by me signing the letter, would that change the bureau thinking of as far as it's not me?
All of my clients have a wet signature on theirs, and I in the past still used to get the stall letters. To me, I think the announcement, or the way that I do it, it gives them the announcement in the beginning. So I don't get that stall. But whether you have a wet signature, I've had people on here said that they certify it and notarize every single page, and it still comes back as stall. So it is a catch-22 as to when you'll get the stall and when you won't. So there's not a definitive answer that says one particular method outside of having a recreated stall letter. So for me, my letter that I send out for my client has the same verbiage that's in the stall letter with the same coding with so let me just show you so you can see what I mean. So with the stall letter, there is specific verbiage. This is the US code that is in there. So I took that verbiage and I made it into an introductory letter. And that is what I send off first before I start disputing. So with that letter, I'm sending the ID, I'm sending all the documentation. Now, because I do this as a business, I also have a power of attorney. So I include that letter with my power of attorney, with the IDs for the client. So I'm not getting stalled, right? Because y'all got all the paperwork that says that y'all already know I'm working with a company. Y'all already know what I'm doing. So what are we talking about here? Right? So it depends on how you're choosing to attack. But if you wanted to, you could go ahead and generate that stall letter just to kind of get you over the hump.
Okay, and what about some people said it's best to get it notarized before you send it.
Again, I don't notarize any of my documents. I have notarized in the past. It doesn't weigh in any more favorable or less, in my opinion, when I tracked it. I would suggest if you're doing the notary option, track your level of success. I've had a lady who called in and she was on here for like 3 weeks, and she explained that she got a notarized document for every single one of her letters, and she got back the stall letter for every single one of her letters. So it just depends on how the system is processing. Nothing is, I want to tell you this again, in this credit space, there is no guarantees, zero. You do not guarantee anything. You guarantee that every 35 days I'm sending out your letters. You guarantee that I'm going to work this file on this end. That is all you can guarantee, because you don't know if something's going to come off month 1 or month 9. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes. Oh, wait, let me read the question you got in the chat, and then we're going to answer the other question you got. So the question you got in the chat is, can you give more information about when you would advise a client to pay their I guess, pay off, and how do we advise them when talking to the debt collector? So I don't tell them to talk to the debt collector unless they are specifically trying to settle the debt and the debt is within the statute of limitation. And I've confirmed that that debt collector has a legal liable right to collect from them in their state. If all of those boxes don't match, when the debt collector calls them, I tell them to let them know to send the information in the mail. That is it. That is all. But it depends on what your client is trying to get done, Ms. Hooks, as to when you would have the payment or settlement conversation. Sorry, I want to answer that because I got sometimes brain. Next, go ahead, Ms. Hooks. What's your next question?
That was my question. So now you said depending on what they're trying to do, it's going to depend on whether we're going to tell them to pay the debt or not. And so would that still fall in the statute of limitations?
Everything is so first thing is statute of limitation. Second thing is, do they have the right to collect? If they're not checking both of those boxes and it's not a requirement from the lender. So let me give you a scenario. You are my client, Miss Kayla, and you come to me and say, I'm working with this lender and this lender is saying I need to settle this debt in order to get this house. Then our conversation is not going to happen in month 6, 7, or 8. It's going to happen now because your lender is already telling you, for my underwriter to get you approved, you need to settle this debt. So now our conversation is going to be pulling up that business, confirming that business is licensed to collect in your state, confirming the statute of limitation applies. And then I'm going to be telling you how you're going to hold that conversation to start negotiating that debt. Now, if it's a whole nother client that's not going through a mortgage lender, not doing anything, they're not intending to buy a house for another 12 months, then we're not having that conversation right now. We might have baby conversations where in the beginning consultation, I'm telling you, hey, this is still within statute of limitation. This is still within statute of limitation. Let's talk about around month 2 or 3. Let's talk about what your finances look like so that we can go ahead and start having these conversations, because you have to be concerned of what liquid asset does your client have. And then also seeing if that collector has the ability to do a pay per delete, because that might be another option that my client can leverage, where they just pay, even if they settle it for less, they still get that pay per delete option, right? So the conversations are going to be different based on where my client is and what their needs are. Great question.
Okay. And so my next question would be okay, 2 more questions, sorry. How would we determine if they have the right to collect? We'll start there.
So I actually hold a training class where I go over and show you guys where you can find out that information, but it's state specific. So every state has their own guidelines where the company may have to be licensed, they may have to be bonded, they may have to have certain guidelines for your state in order for them to be able to collect.
Okay. And I forgot my last one, but that was
my bad. My bad.
It's okay. It's okay. When they come back, I'll let you know.
No problem. All right. So then in the chat was drop info for one-on-one. Oh, sure. I'll redrop my information for a one-on-one call. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to act like an adult over here. Okay, next question in the chat. So, oh, Perry, you have a great night too, my love. Thank you for stopping by today. I heard you mention removing a paid account. Can you please elaborate? So I don't know what context I mentioned it in, but in general, it is easier to get a paid collection off of your client's profile than an open collection on your client's profile. So for instance, let me share screen again. Hold on. So, okay. So for instance, this particular client has a collection. Okay, so let's click see more. So payment amount is 0. So let's see. Credit limit, this is their highest balance. This is their highest balance. Let's click open. So balance owed $2,579. That is what the account is closed. It is in collection or charge off status. Let's be clear, it cannot be both. It's one or the other, right? So the account went from collections. Once it's past 120 days, it's now in charge off status. This debt is over $600. So I would attack this particular debt differently, again, than someone having debt lower than $600. But using this as a markup, they still owe $2,579. It is going to be a little bit more tedious for me to get this account off because of the fact that there is still a balance owed. Wherein if this says 0, and let's say there is a comment here that says settled for less than amount owed or paid, that is going to be an easier account for me to get removed because of the actual status of that profile. So I hope that helped, Miss Princess Blackberry. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, I wanted to give you guys like an actual visual so you can see it. So when you're looking at the profile, when you're seeing that there's still a balance owed, understand you tussling, okay? I don't tussle, okay? I wear too much wigs out on the street to be tussling with nobody. I'm telling you now, I'll never secure my wig down, y'all. I'll never secure my wig down, okay? I got like this clip and this clip. That's all you got. So I ain't fighting with nobody over nothing, okay? I don't fight. I argue. There's a difference, okay? But when you're looking at the profile, you're able to go ahead and have these robust conversations with the client, because I think a lot of times misinformation is given where everyone's told, oh, you don't have to pay, you don't have to pay. There are certain situations where you do not have to pay, but you have to know when those situations apply. Has the account been written off? Did you get a 1099 form that shows that they cannot collect on the debt, or that they told the IRS that they weren't going to collect on the debt? Is that particular debt collection company licensed to collect in your state? If they are not, they can't collect, right? It doesn't mean that the debt does not belong to you. It means that you have to check all the boxes to come check me, boo. When she said, who gonna check me, boo? You can't if you don't have all the boxes checked. So that's how you're going to be able to navigate it a little bit more. So I hope that helped. Thank you, Miss Blackbear. I saw your yes. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions?
I don't have any
When I
questions, but
send a,
it's been very helpful. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, Miss Hooks. Hope to see you soon. What's your question, Mr. iPhone?
when I send verification, does it have to be ID, or can it be two other forms of verification?
So I'm going to pull up the verification document again. I want to make sure that everyone gets to see it. And I believe David's going to drop it in the chat again. So there are required documents that show up as verification. So when we're talking about verification, you do not have to use your driver's license, but you have to use something that is on this specific list that qualifies. As long as you're using something on the proof of identification list and something on the proof of address list that matches. Sam Smith at 1414 Mockingbird Lane, Sam Smith, proof of address, 1414 Mockingbird Lane. Let's be clear. I use my passport. My passport does not have my address on it. It just has the city and state, right? So if you're using something of that nature that does not have an address, you're using a birth certificate, doesn't have an address, marriage certificate, doesn't have an address, military ID does not have an address, then you're sending a proof of documentation address that has the same name as the original document that you're using as a proof of identification. Does that make sense?
So that means the Social Security card wouldn't work?
So are you looking at the screen, my love?
Yes, ma'am.
Security card is the second thing on the list for proof of identification. So if the ID is not valid because they've moved from state to state or whatever the case may be, the next option that you can use as proof of identification is a signed Social Security card. You would then move over to the address segment and you would pick something else on the address segment. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. So yeah, you don't have to use a social security card twice though. So you don't have to use it as proof of address and as other. If you're using the social security card, that is now falling under the category of proof of identification. So now you'd have to pick something else under the proof of address segment. So either a cell phone bill, paycheck stub, W-2, 1099, a lease agreement, a mortgage statement, a bank statement. You would have to use something else as that secondary document. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Cool. And it looks like you're on your phone, so please, when you get to your computer, definitely click on the training tab, and you can click on any of the attack flows. It will show you this documentation since you're not able to kind of like screen grab it or download it in the chat right now.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, my loves? Jay, welcome to the room. Do you have any questions, concerns, or comments? Let me tell y'all something. I am not an athlete, okay? And I told my husband I'm not an athlete. I'm trying to get my little fine back, y'all. And my son busted me in the mouth yesterday. I don't want to be an athlete. I don't want to play outside anymore. I'm just going to stay in here, play my sandbox. I ain't got time. Because how I'm going to walk around. Listen, my lip was so big, y'all. I asked my husband to give me a kiss this morning. He's talking about, I'm going to kiss you on the cheek. Bro, your child did this to me. Child did, and he walk around here happy-go-lucky. He done went to the school with the peoples. And now I'm around here looking like I done fought Mike Tyson and lost. Okay, I'm upset, y'all. I am up. Listen, I done put some ice pack on my lip, and I don't like cold situations. Just in case y'all didn't know, I don't like cold. Okay, that is why I was born in Jamaica. God knew what He was doing with me. I do not like cold. Okay, but I'm over here with the ice pack, and I'm trying to act all cool and calm. I'm upset. Sorry. Any other questions, guys? I saw, is it Mr. K was coming off of mute? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
Just a front question. If you said you're using your passport, would you recommend if using one of my clients' passport instead of his ID, because the address that states on the ID was originated with a lot of those negative accounts that I'm trying to remove. So would that be better if I use a passport and the utility bill with a different address? Because I do have that as well.
So again, that is one method that you can leverage. I can't tell you what is the best move. If you're wanting to remove that address, that is completely fine. As long as you have 2 pieces of supporting information that puts him at a different location and he can get that mail, then you can use that method.
Right. I just always thought like using a passport is like not a good idea. Better use the ID, you know?
That is all considered proof of identification.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Great question. My pleasure. Any other questions, guys? Y'all got me for 8 more minutes, okay? Because my mouth, I want to fight him. Let me tell y'all, have y'all ever wanted to beat up y'all little cheer? Okay, I'm sorry. Look, I want to tussle with him because he up there playing his video game, living his best life, y'all. And I'm out here looking like I've been through the war. You got a question, Mr. Smith?
I ain't got no questions. I got a whole bunch of comments about.
Go ahead. What's your comment?
I beat up kids. So hey, you need me to come hold him down.
Listen, his daddy loved him so much. I can't do nothing but like I came home and I told him, and his daddy was like, "Well, why you ain't moved?" I was like, That's why he playing sports this year. Okay. He told me, and let me tell you what he said to me, y'all. He felt in the shower. Okay, I'm about to tell my son business. He fell in the shower, right? And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm hurt." I was like, "Bro, you finna play football." He said, I'm not playing football. I'm running track.
Wow.
It was like, no one is coming to tackle me. I was like, okay, that's fair. I was trying to make everyone football players since my 2 oldest sons are football players. He was like, not me, not Diane. I am going to run away from people over here. So yeah, that's interesting. Did you have any questions, Miss Blackberry?
Yes, I have a question.
I might have
And when you pull up the credit report, where you were showing me with the collection. Where do I go to put in like an extra note? I forgot how to do that part.
So you cannot put in an extra. Oh, I forgot to say that, y'all. My bad. Hold on one second. Let me share the screen again. So you cannot put in an extra note. What you can do is free form what you are already doing. So hold on. 0 days. We just did this. Okay. So if you're in the dispute section and you're wanting to put your own letter, so I want to be clear, it does not allow you to attach it to the actual letter format that you're choosing, such as if you're doing the Supreme Boosted or the regular or whatever, right? It doesn't give you the ability to have that letter and this. It's either or.
So I could just add a comment though?
No.
No.
No. So if you are wanting to add anything additional, you would have to type that out, print that particular dispute out by itself. If you are putting, let's say you have a proven letter that you've used in the past that is factual, or you have a letter that is Metro 2 compliant that you've used in the past that gets off all your charge off in the first round, you would click this add a custom note letter and you would put that letter in there, but it's not going to be in addition to. When the system prints out this particular dispute, this account will only have whatever the letter is that you put in the custom message. That is it. That is all.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's where you would go. So if you're wanting to add other commentary, right now the system does not allow you to do that. So you would print off, like you do the regular dispute flow, and then you would have to type up something specific and insert it in that printing document that you're wanting to do.
Okay, and in that case, you guys wouldn't be able to mail the letters. I would have to mail the letters.
That is correct.
All right, thank you. Great
Questions. My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm so sorry I forgot that. Y'all, you know I'm vintage. Huh? Y'all know I'm vintage. Good season. Hey, Mr. Lawrence, we're about to wrap shortly. Do you have any questions, concerns, or comments tonight on the software?
Yeah, I actually was wondering, so this is for inquiries only, or is it for collections as well?
You said, is this for inquiries only, or is it for what?
Collections as well.
So the system automatically will dispute any errors that is affecting your client's credit report for the last 24 months. So it's not just inquiries as well. When you go into the system, it's any inquiries, any public records, as well as any account information that's creating a problem.
Okay, so because I had paid for it and did it and everything and ran through it with the pinwheel for my client, and I didn't know. He was asking me about the collections, and I was like, I'm gonna double check and make sure.
So the pinwheel will, as long as, so when you downloaded your client's file, it should tell you how many items were selected for errors. So you should be able to go back and check that information. That's a great question. But no, the software will investigate and dispute everything, including the inquiries. The inquiries you have to manually check for yourself.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Great question. Great question. Who else we got in this chat? Can you show us again where we note on the file? So it's not a note on the file. I want to make sure that I'm being clear. If you have a specific letter, and that was a great question, Ms. Cross. If you have a specific letter that you want to use or that you've used in the past, you can put that letter in here, and instead of the system printing out the dispute letter that you selected, it will only print out whatever you put in the customized note. Does that make sense, Ms. Cross?
Yes, it does. And I knew exactly what you were saying, but what I was asking was in regards to that, right? Okay, there it
This
is.
one here?
Notes at the top. Yes.
Gotcha, love. So I like, Didn't I say go ahead and push the button? I'm sorry, this computer ain't listening to me. So if I had a client with bankruptcy, so like this particular client's profile that I'm leveraging, they have bankruptcy. I'm going to send a bankruptcy letter to the bankruptcy court. I'm also going to be sending a bankruptcy letter or a request for the report for the other agencies that house the bankruptcy information as well. Because outside of LexisNexis, outside of the 3 credit bureaus, there are other agencies that house that information. So I would put that under the notes tab to let the person, like if I have a team, my team is me and my kids right now, but if my daughter is helping, she would know like, hey, make sure when you talk to the client, if they call, that you're asking them, did you get something from LexisNexis? Did you get something from here? Did you get something from there? So that it's trackable, and I already know what I did the last time I touched the client's profile, so I'm aware of what conversation we should have the next time. Great question. My bad. I thought you were talking about the other thing, friend. Hold on.
So I had another question to follow that. What does that look like in the system as you go through from round to round or attack to attack, and you're leaving yourself notes? What does that kind of look like in the system?
This is
On
what
that person's got it.
that's what it's just
Okay.
and this is internal, so the client cannot see that information.
Get it.
Yeah, this that you're doing is just a note for yourself for you to know what's going on.
Perfect.
Great question.
Thank you, and you're doing an amazing job as always.
Thank you. I try to show up and show out even with a busted face. You know, I'll be getting beat up by my 6-year-old. Don't tell nobody. Any other questions, my loves? I saw that there's some new places that came in. So hey, Miss Clark, how are you doing? Louis, Jolly, do you guys have any questions, concerns, or comments? Because we are about to wrap tonight. You can catch the replay on our YouTube.
I just got a quick question, if you don't mind. Last one, please.
No problem. What question do you have?
Yeah, just trying to summarize and make sure. So for one of the clients that I sent, it's on 28 days. I did actually pull his report, but I only filed or sent the letters like later. So it's been 28 days. So now on day 35, just not to wait on any responses or anything like that, just to send out a second round and first before I update the credit dyno.
Incorrect. So you're not sending out anything until you've allowed the full 30 days for them to dispute. So if you pulled on day 1 or you did day 1, but you didn't mail out the letter till day 5 or day 7.
I mailed it on the next day. So I'm like 29 days ago.
Okay. So then you're still going to allow the full 35 days to go through. In your case, I would wait till day 36. Then I would go ahead and pull the update, and then I would send out my next round of letters.
And 35 days of weekends and everything, so straight 35 days. Those 36 days. Okay.
Great question.
And then
If there's a holiday, that's the only time that I take that into consideration. If there's a holiday, then I will give them a few more days to kind of support.
Right. So then just update the credit dyno and see if anything was updated, and just generate the next level on the next round right away, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. So for your website,
Before you go, Miss Clark had her hand up. Give me one. I was making sure Mr. K didn't have any other questions. Give me 1 second, Miss Hooks.
oh, okay.
What is your question, Miss Clark? How can I help today?
Thank you. Thank you. As always, you're doing great. I've just mailed out my second round and preparing for the static letters. I was going to ask if they, was it Factor, somebody had asked for more identification. Do I take care of that before I mail out the static, or do you do that anyways for the secondary bureaus?
I do that anyway. So when you're doing the static letters, your ID and stuff prints out with them.
Okay, so just go ahead and just do that. To cancel
Absolutely.
that. All right, thank you.
My pleasure. All right, Miss Hooks, tag you it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so my question is about your website. I know we had mentioned it very early on. how do you have it connected with Dispute Panda? Is it something embedded, or do you have something? Are they two separate websites and you just pass links?
That's a great question. So I have the only thing that is connected to my website. I'm gonna show y'all because I'm changing my website, so I really don't know what they did. So hold on.
Okay.
Hold on, I be acting like I be knowing what they doing over there, and I just kind of give my people free rent. Okay, cool. So it's still the same right now. So when they're coming in, I have the safe client support access. So current clients can log in and actually put in their username and all that other wonderful jazz to be able to log in and see their profile, right? That's how I have my website set up. The other option I have is for them to schedule a call. Those are the only two options that I have currently on my file. However, you can create like an onboarding form and you can put that form on your site so that once they fill out the request to sign up or enroll in your package, that they will automatically be embedded into Dispute Panda. And then if you have the pro, it will automatically kind of go through as long as you have the integrations together. But you would have to embed it into your program, into your website. Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything that we should or shouldn't have on our site as far as like informing our clients? I know you say, you know, you don't want to necessarily put too much credit repair up there, but any tips for our websites?
So that, I want to make sure I answer that. Are you speaking about from the banking standpoint, or are you speaking about in general?
On a consumer standpoint, like what is something we would definitely for sure want our customers to see?
So you can look at my site, girl. I got everything on my site. My site tells everyone that I'm a credit, but again, this is one of my sites, right? I have a landing page that takes them to coaching. I have one for business credit. So I have a couple of details, right? But one thing that I would suggest is to be state specific, find out what your state requires for credit repair, because some states have a requirement for the actual website. What I will tell you from going to different credit conventions and being a part of that world, one of the things that I have heard is that if you're going to post, let's say your wins, so when the scores go up, when there's an increase, things of that nature, you have to be consistent that you post the negative stuff too. So I do both. I post when the scores drop, I post when the scores go up. It's all content material for me to be able to say, hey, by the way, this is why this client's numbers dropped. This is the plan for moving forward. And that way, the person has a more robust idea of what credit repair is going to look like on a whole for them. But I would say when you're looking at the websites, number one, check your state's laws. Also, I tell people all the time to do market research. Don't be afraid to like type in companies that are doing credit repair in your area, in your state, see what's on their website. As well, to kind of get an idea of what you want or what you may not want. But there's not a blueprint as to what is required, except for, just for me, I always say you always want to have a privacy like portal. And I always think best practice is to have a FAQ section. So that your client kind of knows what's going on. But again, those things are required. Some states have a requirement and some states don't. So you have to look into your specific state. Great question. Any other questions? Welcome, Mr. Brown. Do you have any questions before we let everyone go tonight? Mr. Lewis, I think it's Mr. Hey,
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry. I'm Louis Jolly. I just got onto your thing late, so like I didn't have the chance to fully grasp everything that you were presenting. So I'm very new to understanding like how to do credit recovery. So I'm more so interested in on a personal basis.
Okay.
And kind of wanted to know like what would be the like the initial aspect of like how do I start. I've already done my LexisNexis report and looked over my consumer report, but I don't understand what to do with the information and if there's any things that the appropriate things that need to be corrected and stuff like that.
So that is that those are great questions. That's outside of the call today. The call today is to cover the actual platform itself. I will drop my booking link if you want to book a one-on-one so we can talk about what you want to do on the file outside of just the Dispute Panda software, because that's a great question. But because you came in a little bit late, you can definitely catch the replay. It's on the community and we're also on YouTube for you to see the video from the beginning. But what we basically cover on the call for Dispute Panda Nights are how to use the software and any questions about disputing the profile with the letters. Anything more in depth, you would have to book a call. So I did drop. Okay.
Well,
but
how often do you have these meetings?
Monday and Wednesdays are for the standard pro nights. Thursdays are for Monday and Wednesdays are for the free nights, and Thursday are for the pro nights.
Okay.
Okay. And I applaud you for going ahead and getting yourself together. Definitely watch any of the replay videos. I do drop some tips throughout so that they can actually help. But I normally do not cover anything with the secondary bureau on the call just because we're trying to get everyone acclimated with the software itself. So let me just ask before I let you go, did you have any questions about the software itself?
I haven't even had the chance to like look into the software. So I just know that I signed up to get information and I know I missed basically the information. So that's kind of why I was like, well, let me, advocate for myself. So
absolutely. Well, pull back up on me, friend, on Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am.
We start at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I talk until my son comes down the steps. The bully comes down the steps normally, or until you guys are all out of questions. So whichever one comes first is what I try to help with. But if you have any other questions, let me know. I did drop my booking link in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure, my love. Miss Blackberry, what questions you got, my love?
My question is, when you send out a letter to the collection agencies or to do a letter to the secondary bureaus, do they always send the IDs as well? If you have it up? Okay. Just want to make sure.
I do believe the creditors may not have the IDs. Let me check because I could look it right now. Hold on, let me look at it for your friend. But I do know for a fact that the secondary bureaus will get your identification. I believe the creditors do not, but I'm about to check right now. Hold on. Downloaded. You rude. Because I like to give y'all facts. So hang on one second, friend. I actually just pulled some letters today. So creditors. Let me see. So for the creditors, yes, the identification is also attached for the creditors also. So creditor letters is attached, credit bureau, the IDs are attached, and the third party companies, the IDs are attached as well. Great.
Okay. So in that case, if I don't want to send them the ID, I would have to print it and mail those letters myself.
That is correct.
All right. Thank you.
Anything you do not want that the system will automatically send, you have to print on your own.
Okay.
Great question. All right. Miss Charmaine, you don't have a cousin named Charmaine? Sorry, go ahead. How can I help?
So I was trying to do the first letter, and it was like, you gotta come back in 20 minutes. And then I finally read, I need to re-download my documentation, which is fine. But I picked a check stub. So I can it just needs to see what the company name, my name, address, like I can block it
It
out.
just needs to show your name and address. And if you're using your paycheck stub, you literally just need to take your name and address. Everything else can be blocked out. If the company name is in the window where it's accessible and it doesn't show any personal information, then you're good. Otherwise, just do your name as the bucket.
So they don't even need the pay date and stuff like that? Like when this was.
You don't have to do that if it's going to show too much of your personal information. You follow what I'm saying?
I mean, the only thing I guess extra it shows is my annual salary. If I guess that's not needed. I mean, but I can black it out.
You can crop it. It's completely up to you. So again, once you upload it in the system, you're able to crop as much information that you can fit into that square spec. That's what I would be. That's what I would send.
Gotcha.
Everything else I would leave alone.
Okay.
Okay. Great question. All right, Mr. Smith, how can I help?
Okay. I promise it's my last question. So I noticed in the first round of attacks, it would include the name change or name correction, address correction, but then it would also include some attacks on some other items. And so the purpose in deleting old addresses and making sure there's just one spelling of your name is to kind of leverage, like, okay, if the name is not the same on the account or the spelling, to be able to get removed. So how do you know how am I trying to say this? How do you know what they're going to look at, what they're going to try to process first? Like if they process the name. Okay.
We don't. The reality is so for transparency, the credit bureau, I think I said this earlier, but the credit bureau has that internal e-Oscar system that runs the report, right? Sometimes you get into that system, it kicks it out and it sends you a stall letter. Other times it moves past that system and then it actually gets to an actual person that's going to be doing the work and looking through, right? So in theory, the goal is for it to start from top to bottom. So the name, the address, then the accounts in the order in which the letter is generated.
Okay. So would it be better to just go ahead and go for that first and before trying to attack anything else to kind of increase the odds of success?
It depends if that's the method that you're using. So you have to remember that you get to curate the credit relationship and process based on what method are you using. If you're leveraging the personal information leverage first, like you want everything to be clean, then your method of attack that you're going to go into, your day one is going to be your personal information. Then you're not going to go on to your regular round until you've gotten back the letters back from the personal information. Does that make sense? So it depends on what method you're going to leverage, because understand that we're giving you a blueprint so that you don't have to think about it. You can just hit the ground running. But if you know you have a designate, like I had a client who was like, oh, I think I'm about to change my mailing address because I know that I have bad debts collected to this particular address. If your method is getting those addresses out, then let's focus on that. Make sure all of that is together. And then you do your round one, maybe like day 5, day 7, right? I personally can see that if that's the structure that you have, especially if the client has a bunch of like bad accounts linked to that particular address, right? But if you're just doing standard disputing, then you can just go ahead and day one, send out that first Punch of Fury Supreme Boosted and call it a day.
Okay.
But again, I'm aggressive with my tactics. So for me, I'm sending out a personal information day 1. I send it out again day 10. Day 1, day 5, day 10, day 15, and then every 30 days.
So, I mean, I've had a lot of experience calling in to the credit bureaus, and they really don't give any pushback at all when it comes to updating your name and updating your address. And they do that the same day, and that's updated pretty much the same day. So I don't know how widely that known that is, but I mean, I know for a fact that they don't give any pushback at all, when you call in.
I have experienced something different in doing it for 19 years. There's some people that will do it and there's some people that won't do it.
Yeah.
So, and also you're not only, I think the number one thing is, yes, you can do that with the credit bureaus, but you also have to think about the third-party companies that have the information that don't have a phone number. So
Mm.
you're still disputing the addresses from them as well, right? So even though you get it removed from the credit bureau, if it's still at the third-party companies and they revalidate the information through that third-party company, you're still running on a treadmill. Like, well, not what they call it, a hamster wheel. They
Hamster
call
wheel.
it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know what I said.
I heard that accent come back out.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's my pleasure, Ms. Charmaine. But yes, so it depends on what you're doing. And there's, like I said, for me, TransUnion hasn't been an issue. I've had issues with Equifax. I've had issue with Experience. Sometimes it's a quick and go and they'll just do it.
Yeah.
But on the grand scheme of things, if your method is the address method, you cannot just focus on the credit bureaus at all, right? So it depends on how you're trying to pivot in real time.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm here to help. Sometimes I know the answer. Any other questions, guys? Because y'all done got me here too long. I got to put some ice on my lip now. I
already lost Carla. She gone. So
Look,
I got
Miss Cross said I'm out. Okay, you have a great night, Miss Cross. Miss Charmaine, it has been my pleasure. Miss Clay, thanks for pulling up on me. Carlos, I look forward to speaking to you soon. Kayla, please come back. I love it. I love the questions. Jamel, I think I'm saying that right. Jamel, I could be wrong. I do apologize, but thank you for coming in. Mr. Anderson, as always, thanks for pulling up and sharing your screen. It has been my pleasure. I hope you guys have a great night. If you guys don't have any other questions, Miss Blackberry says she ain't got enough. Appreciate it. David said he is good. See you guys on Wednesday, same hour. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, my love. All right, David.